For well over a century, one really simple idea completely shaped the modern world. You get a stable job, you work hard, and you build a better life. Just imagine waking up and knowing exactly where you're going to work for the next 40 years. You've got a stable paycheck, guaranteed health benefits, and this absolute rock-solid confidence in your future. For a huge chunk of the 20th century, that wasn't just some pipe dream. It was the day-to-day reality that literally built the modern economy we all live in today. But, how did we actually get there? How did traditional jobs become the absolute foundation of modern society? To truly grasp the sheer gravity of this economic system, we kind of need to completely shift our perspective. We have to travel back in time to see a world where the whole concept of a career just didn't exist at all. Section 1. The world before factories, also known as the agrarian era. So before the Industrial Revolution, the idea of having a job was pretty much non-existent. The vast majority of people were working on farms or running tiny family businesses. And let me tell you, life was incredibly difficult and financially precarious. You grew your own food, you made your own clothes, and your entire livelihood was 100% dependent on the next harvest. If the weather turned bad and crops failed, entire communities faced devastating famine. There was zero safety net, and certainly no such thing as a stable, predictable job to fall back on. Section 2. The Industrial Revolution, a massive turning point. This shift was rapid and honestly unprecedented. We evolved from a totally agrarian society before the 1800s straight into the mid-1800s, where the Industrial Revolution introduced machines that could produce goods infinitely faster than human hands ever could. By the early 1900s, a massive manufacturing boom was well underway. Millions of people literally packed up their lives, left the fields, and moved into these rapidly growing cities. They were chasing this revolutionary new concept, a regular weekly wage. To put this into perspective, imagine two people living in the exact same year, 1850. On one hand, you've got John, who's a farmer. His income relies entirely on the unpredictable weather, right? A bad storm rolls through, and he earns almost nothing for the whole year. On the other hand, you have David, who works in a brand new textile factory. Every single Friday, without fail, David gets a paycheck. That simple, revolutionary difference, the sheer predictability of that Friday paycheck, was an absolute game changer. The absolute most crucial takeaway here is this: factories didn't just mass-produce products. They mass-produced financial stability. For the very first time in human history, the working class could confidently expect a steady income, week after week after week. And as manufacturing expanded, the demand for workers just skyrocketed across every major sector. We're talking steel plants forging the skeletons of modern cities, railroads connecting entire nations, and automobile factories revolutionizing how we travel. Entire cities seemingly sprouted out of nowhere around these massive industries. With that concentrated wealth and those steady incomes, roads were paved, schools opened, and local economies absolutely thrived. One stable factory job was now enough to comfortably support an entire family. Section 3. The rise of office jobs and the service economy. Now, as these massive corporations kept growing, they realized pretty quickly that they needed more than just hands on the factory floor. They needed minds, people to manage the money, organize the workforce, and legally protect the business. And boom, this birthed the service economy. Banks had to hire clerks to manage all those newly earned factory wages. Demand absolutely surged for accountants, lawyers, engineers, and teachers. Millions of brand new professional careers materialized, seemingly overnight. Let's bring this down to a more personal level. Take Sarah. She graduates from college in 1975 and joins a large firm as an accountant. Because of the rigid structure of traditional jobs back then, her path is wonderfully predictable. Her salary reliably increases over time. She gets comprehensive health insurance, she saves up, she buys a home, and eventually she sends her own kids to college. Sarah's story wasn't some rare exception. It was literally the definitive blueprint of the American dream. Section 4. The power of education and specialized skills. But you might be wondering, how did someone actually secure one of those premium jobs? Well, as industries got more advanced, you couldn't just walk off the street and, say, design a suspension bridge or perform complex surgeries. Companies desperately needed workers with highly specialized training. So universities and technical schools suddenly transformed into the ultimate, indispensable gateways to these lucrative professional careers. Because of this, higher education exploded in popularity. For so many families, education became one of the absolute most valuable investments they could possibly make. It was this ultimate transaction. You invest your time and money into an education, and in return, you are granted entry into a highly specialized, incredibly secure middle class. Section 5. Building the middle class, a truly historic era. So all these elements, the factories, the service jobs, the education, they combine to create an era of peak career predictability. Employees would often stay with the exact same company for decades, and they were rewarded for it with pensions, guaranteed promotions, and rock-solid job security. This long-term stability allowed families to confidently plan out their futures. Banks readily approved mortgages, and owning a home allowed everyday, hard-working people to quietly build massive generational wealth as property values steadily went up. Economists actually call this the virtuous cycle, and it perfectly shows how everyone won. It moved step by step, like this. Stable jobs created predictable incomes. Those reliable incomes allowed people to go out and spend money, which supported local businesses. Those thriving businesses then needed to hire more workers, who in turn spent their new wealth fueling even more economic growth. From the factory floor all the way to the corner store, society flourished on the predictable spending power of a highly united economy. Section 6. The next turning point and facing change. Now, before we start looking to the future, we really have to respect the majestic impact of what traditional jobs accomplished. They didn't just occupy 8 hours of a person's day. They built entire communities from the ground up. They supported millions of families. They constructed these towering metropolitan skylines, and they grew the largest, wealthiest middle class in human history. For more than a century, the traditional career was the undeniable backbone of global prosperity. But, and there's always a but, right? Every economic system eventually faces inevitable change. We moved from the farm to the factory to the office. And now, this golden era of ultimate career predictability is facing a seismic shift unlike anything we have seen since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. The very same traditional jobs that built the modern world are entering a brand new era. New technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, are now beginning to completely reshape the workplace once again. So the question is no longer whether work will change. The real question is how quickly we can adapt to it. How will this next huge technological revolution redefine what it even means to have a job? Now that is a fascinating story, and it's exactly what we're going to explore in part 2. What if I told you the biggest competitor for your next promotion isn't the person sitting across the office from you, but a machine? One that literally never sleeps. Look, the question isn't whether artificial intelligence is going to change the future of work. It's how quickly. Today, we're unpacking a massive, tectonic shift that's happening right in front of our eyes. We are living through a brand new revolution, right this second. And this time around, the machines aren't just doing the heavy lifting or the physical labor. They're actually beginning to think, to write, to analyze, design, and even create. You know, unlike older tech that just sat neatly on a desk waiting for you to type something in, AI is a whole different beast. It doesn't clock out. It definitely doesn't take weekends off. It is evolving at this exponential, almost mind-bending rate, processing in mere seconds what would take us humans an entire lifetime to get through. So I want to pose a question directly to you. Has AI changed the future, or is it already happening? I mean, we love to talk about AI like it's some distant sci-fi concept waiting for us in the year 2050, right? But the reality? It's already here. It's actively, fundamentally transforming major sectors: healthcare, finance, education, manufacturing, literally today. Okay, let's dive right into this. What exactly can this tech do right now? Well, it's not just crunching boring numbers anymore. It's writing highly detailed reports. It's generating complex computer code from scratch. It's translating languages in real time. In hospitals, it's actually detecting diseases from medical scans faster and sometimes more accurately than the human eye. We're talking about abilities that once required a decade of expensive higher education, now being executed by a machine in mere seconds. I mean, it might take all our endless emails and administrative headaches off our plates, though thankfully it hasn't quite figured out how to drink our morning coffee just yet. To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this shift, let's look at customer service. Think back to the past. Companies had to hire hundreds, sometimes thousands of human employees in massive call centers just to answer the most basic, repetitive questions. And today, AI-powered chatbots are handling thousands of those exact same conversations simultaneously, 24/7, without ever breaking a sweat. It's a stark comparison, but it absolutely proves the massive volume of predictable tasks that AI is highly capable of taking over right now. Now, when you see that level of automation, I get it. The immediate fear is, oh no, human employees are entirely obsolete. But actually, scratch that. The data shows a totally different story. Human employees aren't becoming obsolete at all. They're being upgraded. While AI takes over the monotonous data entry and the copy-paste answers, we are freed up to do what machines just can't do. We get to focus on solving complex, nuanced problems that require real judgment, emotional intelligence, and empathy. And we are seeing this incredible co-pilot dynamic play out across highly skilled industries right now. Take accounting. AI is instantly flagging unusual financial anomalies. For junior lawyers, it's reviewing thousands of pages of dense legal documents in minutes rather than weeks. In manufacturing, intelligent robotics are executing complex, precision tasks flawlessly. The goal here isn't to replace the professional. It's actually to give them a superpower. It's making them dramatically more productive. 0. That's a pretty powerful number, because 0 is exactly how many of today's fastest-growing AI jobs existed just a few short years ago. Literally 0. So while it's totally true that routine tasks are being automated away, an entirely new frontier of opportunity is opening up in real time. It's like a giant puzzle that's just being unpacked. Just consider some of these brand new career paths. We've got prompt engineers, whose whole job is specializing in speaking the language of machines. AI ethics consultants, making sure these algorithms are deployed safely and fairly. Machine learning specialists. Generative AI content creators. Businesses all over the globe are desperately searching for these experts. It's no longer just about who can build the technology, it's about who can manage, train, and steer it. Honestly, if you take nothing else away from this explainer, let it be this. The future isn't simply AI versus humans. It is humans using AI versus humans who don't. Think about it. A doctor uses AI to analyze scans faster. An architect designs stunning buildings with structural algorithms. A programmer writes way better code with an AI assistant. The ultimate competitive advantage in the modern economy, it absolutely belongs to those who combine human creativity with artificial intelligence. Of course, we have to acknowledge that this transition brings some very real uncertainty. Workers who spend all day doing highly predictable, repetitive tasks, they're absolutely going to need to pivot. And this means businesses have to invest heavily in retraining their teams. And schools need to prepare students for careers that haven't even been invented yet. The ultimate currency of this new era isn't a specific degree, it's absolute adaptability. Because of this breakneck pace of change, getting a diploma or graduating is no longer the finish line. It's really just the starting block. Continuous, lifelong learning is now totally mandatory. We're talking about the necessity of constantly acquiring new skills, improving our human-to-human communication, and creatively solving complex problems alongside modern tech. Those who commit to that, they're going to remain incredibly valuable no matter how smart the machines get. So, let's fast forward a bit. What does the workplace of the next decade actually look like? Well, we're likely moving toward businesses that might be smaller in overall headcount, but vastly more productive. With AI handling the daily, grinding administrative work, we humans will finally have the bandwidth to focus deeply on high-level strategy, leadership, and pure innovation. Workers who really embrace this are going to find opportunities that previous generations could literally only dream of. As we face all this sweeping change, I want to remind you of one constant truth. Technology always transforms how we work. I mean, from the steam engine to electricity to the internet, every single generation faces profound uncertainty. Yet, history proves time and time again that every technological revolution creates massive new opportunities for those willing to adapt. AI, it's just the next chapter in that long human story. The future of work won't be defined by machines alone. It's going to be shaped by the people who learn to wield them. Remember, artificial intelligence is not simply replacing work, it is fundamentally transforming it.